Hello. Howdy, howdy. Is my whole thing crooked? Everything is real wonky right now. I hope that doesn't bother you guys. I think it's fine. But, yeah, everything's real crooked. It makes the picture behind me look crooked, which, by the way, you can see my post-it fell off. That was short-lived. But, hi, guys. Hold on, I've got to figure this out. It's so crooked. The whole stand here is crooked. Oh well. Add that picture banner for my Nikola Tesla. I need to get my thing uncrooked. Hi guys. Nice to see y'all. So lots going on. Hello, Laura. Hi, friends. Q has been dropping so much, it is insane. At one point, I think they did tell us that it would, that the drops would get faster, and boy have they. It's almost impossible to keep up. It's like every morning, school starts, and then Q drops all of these links for us and all of these things to go through, and it's just time to get busy. I kind of took yesterday off a little bit. Was it yesterday? And I was just dropping in here and there. It's really hard to stay away because you feel like you're missing so much, and when you come back there's so much to get caught up on. We'll go through some of the drops, but tomorrow I think I'll let you guys know, but I think tomorrow I've got something else planned, and I might do something tomorrow to go over them a little bit better. But yeah, it's daylight here, but just for a little while longer. So let's get into these links and go through all of what I have for you as far as kind of current events, and then we can get into the Q stuff, even though it's kind of mixed in here. But you guys remember the woman who fed her husband fish tank cleaner? We went over this a couple times. This couple was in Arizona, and the story came out, and I remember saying to you guys, okay, this don't seem right, because they drank fish tank cleaner because it had the word chloroquine in it. It was some other chemical. But anyway, then they kind of dug into her a little bit deeper and found some weird things about her, and it seemed like there was more to this story than meets the eye, and sure enough, now she is being investigated for homicide. So last month, a woman named Wanda Lenius claimed that because she saw President Trump touting hydroxychloroquine as a potential cure for the coronavirus, she told her husband Gary to drink a fish tank cleaner with a similar sounding ingredient called chloroquine phosphate, and then drank it as well. It killed her husband and left her in critical condition. So at the time, the media was calling them basically victims of the president and saying that he was being irresponsible by touting this drug, even though that's not what they took. So now they've dug up that Wanda was actually a Democrat donor and no fan of the president, so it actually makes zero sense that she would have taken this just on his word, right? Because nobody goes to their doctor and talks to their doctor about these things. They listen to the president and the people on TV. She had some other issues, some abuse in the past with her husband and things like that. So I guess now she's being investigated for his homicide. So an update on that, I've got the link below. This is an interesting one. I had actually tweeted this a few days ago, but here's an article about it. Fauci knew about HCQ in 2005. Nobody needed to die. This is a One News Now article. It says Dr. Fauci, whose expert advice to President Trump has resulted in the complete shutdown of the greatest economic engine in world history, has known since 2005 that chloroquine is an effective inhibitor of coronavirus. How did he know this? Because of research done by the National Institute of Health, of which he is the director. In connection with the SARS outbreak caused by a coronavirus dubbed SARS-CoV, the NIH researched chloroquine and concluded that it was effective at stopping the SARS coronavirus in its tracks. The COVID-19 bug is likewise a coronavirus labeled SARS-CoV-2. While not exactly the same virus as CoV-1, it's genetically related to it and shares 79% of its genome, as the name implies. They both use the same host cell receptor, yada yada. Dr. Anthony Fauci, whose expert advice to President Trump we already read that part. So yeah, basically, he's known this for a while. I actually, right below this link, have a link to I believe it's a show called Dead Zone from 2003. And in it, they're talking about the coronavirus and how in this show, they're going to, that chloroquine is useful for it, which is interesting. So I've seen a lot of people kind of pass around some of these movies and TV shows and books and things like that that are coronavirus, and it's paralleling what is happening now, and people are like, oh my gosh, this is like seeing into the future. Well, actually, no, actually all of these viruses are related, and so we've got a history with these things. And there are people that when they write movies and TV shows and books and things like that, research what they're doing. For example, there was that one book that took place, I believe, in Wuhan, and people were like, oh my gosh, this is crazy. Well, no, it's not really, because it would almost make sense if you're going to write a book about a pandemic like this that gets released. That is it's a pretty prominent bioweapons, that's not what they call it, but whatever, you know what I'm saying. So it's not that the author was psychic, it's just that they had done their homework, their research. But it is interesting to see that clip from 2003, so go ahead and take a look at that, where they're talking about chloroquine and that. James O'Keefe from Project Veritas put out a new video, and there are a couple things in here. One is that they're talking to a couple different funeral directors. One is a Michael Lanza, funeral director of Colonial Funeral Home in New York. And he says, to be honest with you, all of the death certificates, they're writing COVID on all of the death certificates, whether they had a positive test or whether they didn't. He says, so I think, again, this is my personal opinion. This is him talking. I think the mayor, Bill de Blasio, in New York, they're looking at federal funding, and the more they put COVID on the death certificate, the more they can ask for federal funds. There are a couple other funeral directors that are backing this up, saying that this is an influx that makes absolutely no sense. There's a woman in there that says that there's a woman related to a Supreme Court justice that had Alzheimer's. The woman had Alzheimer's, and she died because she wasn't suctioned, which I guess is something that can happen because along with Alzheimer's, sometimes people forget to swallow. So that's why she died, and they put COVID-19 on her death certificate. And the justice knew that that's not what her sister died from, and so somehow they called and they had an independent autopsy done, and sure enough, there was no COVID-19. So there are a few kind of little stories in there about that. I love Project Veritas and what they do, so I always am happy to see when they've got a new video up. 80 patients and staff members come down with coronavirus at a Texas nursing home. 39 of 39 saved by hydroxychloroquine treatment. So this is a Gateway Pundit article. It says a nursing home in Texas has a hopeful story for those suffering with coronavirus. The resort at Texas nursing home had an outbreak of coronavirus that infected 56 residents and 33 staff members. 39 residents gave the doctor permission to use hydroxychloroquine. They all performed well. Dr. Robin Armstrong immediately administered hydroxychloroquine to the residents and staff members along with Z-Pak and zinc. Only one nursing home patient died since the doctor prescribed the hydroxychloroquine. 55 made it. So that's interesting. You know, obviously these are just you know, kind of novel pieces of information that we're picking up from the world through the internet and through some of the media that is being honest and telling us these things. We are seeing people that are giving praise to this concoction, saying that it saved them, saying that you know, it worked for them or it worked for their family members, etc., etc. Researchers find no evidence of young children passing the coronavirus to adults in so this is a Blaze TV article. Pediatric experts in the United Kingdom studying the impact of COVID-19 on children found no evidence that the children can pass the virus on to adults, a finding which could significantly impact decisions on reopening schools and child care facilities. yeah, I've got a whole bunch of notes here, but that's basically the gist of it. So this is just one piece of research that some people did, and you know, this is obviously still developing, but there is something to the fact that a lot of the information seems to be pointing at this doesn't affect children in the same way that it affects adults. And so was closing schools and daycares, nursery schools necessary? I don't know. But it definitely seems as though going forward, we should probably open schools. I'm hearing stuff about schools being affected even into next year, and I don't know if that's panic or what that is, but yeah, it's getting kind of crazy. Role of vitamin D in the prevention of coronavirus disease, 2009 infection and mortality. So this is a study that they are doing, and basically they were identifying the mean levels of vitamin D kind of per country and collecting that data. And let's see, the results say the mean level of vitamin D in each country was strongly associated with the number of cases per 1 million. Vitamin D levels are severely low in the aging population, especially in Spain, Italy, and Switzerland. This is also the most vulnerable group of the population for COVID-19, so that's interesting. The conclusion is we believe that we can advise vitamin D supplementation to protect against SARS CoV-2 infection. So where's a natural place to get vitamin D? The sun. I know it's springtime, some people are still experiencing snow, some of us are getting sunshine, but obviously there's a lot of frustration in places where you can't go outside right now. You can't go and enjoy parks or beaches and things like that, when the sunshine is possibly something that would help prevent you from getting this. So it did make me think of one other thing too. Who tried to block the sun? Remember that? Do you remember that thing? Was that Bill Gates, where they were talking about releasing like a flower-sized bag of particulates into the atmosphere, and it was like to battle global warming, and it had something to do with there was a volcanic explosion, and the ash that was released into the atmosphere, you know, kind of put this blanket over the atmosphere that dropped the planet's temperature like a fraction of a degree. So they thought it would be this brilliant idea. Meanwhile, you don't know what you're messing with when it comes to these things. This is what drives me nuts about these. I mean, it's wonderful to have scientific aspirations and to want to like fix problems. We all have our own opinions on that problem, but there's just like this megalomaniac, like I'm just gonna do something to the entire earth and we'll just see what happens. So anyway, I've given you guys my whole take on sunblock and being out in the sun, and you know, just kind of in a brief little synopsis, I don't think the sun is as big and as bad as they tell us. I had a friend who slathered herself in sunblock day and night, and because she was very fair-skinned, never went in the sun, and she ended up getting skin cancer. And I have friends, my mom used to like lay out in the sun in the 80s with Crisco on her body and just cook. And so, you know, we do know that there are benefits from the sun also. So it'll be interesting to see what more comes from that. But I tend to gravitate more towards the sun than the sunblock stuff. Leaked Five Eyes dossier, on alleged Chinese coronavirus cover-up, consistent with U.S. findings, officials say. So a research dossier compiled by the so-called Five Eyes, which that's what, New Zealand, UK, U.S., Canada, Australia, right? Did I already say Australia? Australia, New Zealand, U.S., Canada, UK. This dossier reportedly concludes China intentionally hid or destroyed evidence of the coronavirus pandemic, and it's consistent with U.S. findings about the origins of the outbreak so far, senior U.S. officials told Fox News Sunday. I guess this is a Fox News article they have. The 15-page document finds that Chinese secrecy amounted to an assault on international transparency. Trump has been talking more about this. They're finally asking him more questions about the origins of this and what he's seeing. And he hasn't come out and just said it, but he is saying that there is a possibility that this was, that the origins were not bats, that it came from this Wuhan, whatchamacallit? My brain is fried, you guys, right now. I'm so sorry. But anyway, so this seems to kind of go along with that information. So that's in the link below. This is infuriating. So Q had linked to this. It was a tweet of a man being arrested. I guess he went into work at his tattoo shop. And so there's this whole thing where he's being dragged out, or not dragged, but he's being, like frog walked out of his tattoo shop by some cops. It's very interesting on a couple different levels. Well, first of all, it's infuriating that people are being arrested for just trying to go back to work and make a living, especially in some place. Like, you're telling me that it's safe for us to all go into Walmart and shop with all the bigger booger pickers of the world, but a tattoo shop or something like that, which actually they have to, like, cleanliness is an essential part of that business to begin with. They are dealing with, they have to sanitize their areas and things like that. So you're telling me that a Walmart is safer than this guy's business? It just absolutely makes no sense, especially, or even just like small businesses. Like, why is Walmart safe, but small businesses, small grocery stores, small restaurants, whatever, are not? So Q had posted a link to a tweet that had that guy being arrested. Now, I will say that it is a little suspicious that, like, why were they there recording it? How did they know to be there, the news crew? He had the "Don't tread on me" flag, like, huge banner in his window. The whole thing seemed a little bit staged to me, so I have to wonder. But it does kind of give us a stark contrast to, why are we arresting these people for going to the beach, being in a park? I mean, people are getting harassed by law enforcement for, putting sunblock on their baby in a park. I believe that was in the UK, that wasn't in the US, but still. And then we have a bunch of criminals being released from prison to protect them and others in the jails and the prison systems from getting COVID. So I have a bunch of different links below of just different examples of this. This first one, 7 high-risk sex offenders released from Orange County jails. DA office issues community warning. So the Orange County District's Attorney office on Tuesday issued a community warning after 7 high-risk sex offenders were recently released from county jails. The sex offenders were let out this month by Court Commissioner Joseph Dane, despite being charged with tampering with their GPS monitoring devices. Okay, so in relation to that, one of them, a convicted child molester, got rearrested for sex crimes after his release. What a surprise. So that was in Orange County. I have a link from Washington State. Using the public health crisis for cover, Governor Jay Inslee is releasing a sex offender, multiple gang members, and other dangerous criminals under his coronavirus prisoner release plan. Sorry, he previously promised that violent offenders would stay behind bars. And last week, the Supreme Court of Washington State was just 1 vote shy of releasing serial killers. Illinois releases 146 sex offenders, including 3, quote, sexually dangerous persons. The state of Illinois released a list of almost 4,000 inmates released from prisons, including 64 convicted murderers. And then the last link I have on that is over 16,000 U.S. inmates have been released as coronavirus crisis has progressed. So that one has a list state by state, and you can see how many people have been released in each state. That's insane. And I kind of wanted to go into kind of a personal story as to why this makes me so angry, but I don't really know if I want to do that. we might circle back. And I might share that with you guys. Okay, DOJ sides with church suing Virginia Governor Northam after pastor who held a 16-person service faced fine and jail. So here's win one for the good guys, but still, it's infuriating to see the absolute overreach of power right now. When Q was posting yesterday, there was kind of this sense in me of, okay, they, you know, most of it has been, you know, lay back, trust the plan. Obviously, this is a peaceful movement. We are trusting the plan. We are seeing things happening. A lot of people do worry, you know, is this keeping us too complacent? Are we not getting out and being as active as we should and, you know, protesting or whatever? There was kind of more of a sense yesterday, at least in my personal opinion, from Q that was like, I mean, they literally said, are you ready to stand up? And so, I think it is maybe important for us to be looking at these contrasts, to be looking at this overreach of power and be amplifying it to our friends and family as far as getting that information to them. Most people, when they see this is a giant wake-up call. This will illustrate a lot of what we are trying to explain as far as the way that our country, our countries, our world have been working. And you know, obviously we want to talk about everything is done in peaceful means and all of that, but maybe it is time to you know, be a little bit more you know me, I sit back and laugh at everything. But, you know, I'm trying to show this to people as much as possible. And, you know, I'll kind of follow the lead of that kind of just pushing information. That's the most important thing I think we can do right now. Because I think I've said this before, there doesn't need to be some kind of violent confrontation in order for there to be a revolution. Really, all that it takes in order to have a revolution, in order to really change things, is just for the people to stand together and say no together. And that is incredibly powerful. We don't realize how powerful we are when we take our consent away from these kinds of things. So really, the best thing that we can do right now is really what we're already doing. Just sharing the information and just continue to do that and you know, be loud about it. So this is fun. Kim Jong-un makes his first public appearance since the health rumors. I knew it. This is so great. I mean, he wasn't in a Hawaiian shirt that was like open with a cocktail, but with like a little umbrella in it. That would have been so great. That would have made my whole life. But he did show up, I guess. He attended a completion of a fertilizer plant, marking his first public appearance in 20 days. He attended the ceremony with other senior officials, along with his sister Kim Yo-jong. And President Donald Trump declined to comment on the reports of Kim's purported reemergence as he departed for Camp David for the weekend, telling reporters, "I'd rather not comment on it yet. We have something to say about it at the appropriate time," is what he said. So they had been asking him, when they were saying that he was dead or they were saying that he was ill or whatever, you know, Trump has been playing this very close to his chest. He's not giving them any information. And he'll tell them, you know, one of the women in, one of the reporters said, you know, he made a statement the other day, and Trump was like, no, he didn't. No, he didn't. Where'd you get that from? He did not. And then at that point, obviously, it sounded like, oh man, like, is he dead? Is he gone? Does Trump know something that we don't know? Well, here he is alive, but this is a very clear example of just how incredibly wrong the media can get it and has gotten it. And we're going to get more into the media stuff in a second, but just think about that for a second, that the people that get labeled conspiracy theorists or whatever, when we dig into information, I think a lot of us out there are being very careful with how we present the information that we're talking about. This is what this looks like to me, and that's important to do. We need to continue to do that. We don't go out there saying that we're experts in any way, or that we know the things that we don't know. We just say, you know, this is what this looks like, and this is what I'm seeing. And we get called conspiracy theorists, and we get called irresponsible, and we get called all of these things. But how terrible has the media been with so many stories? I mean, we could go into the Mueller report. Remember when like the Mueller report was going to take down the president and all of these things that they have been completely wrong on? Why are they not labeled the conspiracy theorists? Why are they not labeled irresponsible with, you know, by the people believing them? So, we're going to go right into that. Dems, this is I think Q had posted to this article. Dems deploying DARPA-funded AI-driven information warfare tool to target pro-Trump accounts. An anti-Trump Democratic-aligned political action committee advised by retired Army General Stanley McChrystal is planning to deploy an information warfare tool that reportedly received initial funding from the Defense Advanced Research Projects Agency, DARPA, the Pentagon's secretive research arm, transforming technology originally envisioned as a way to fight ISIS propaganda into campaign platform to benefit Joe Biden. The Washington Post first reported that the initiative, called Defeat Disinfo, will utilize, quote, artificial intelligence and network analysis to map discussion of the president's claims on social media, and then attempt to, quote, intervene by identifying the most popular counter-narratives and boosting them through a network of more than 3.4 million influencers across the country, in some cases paying users with large followings to take sides against the president. Don't forget that, what do we think of when we think of DARPA? We remember DARPA's LifeLog project just so happened to end on the very day that Facebook was officially launched. And it was essentially the same thing. And this is, you know, when all of these social media platforms came out and it's like, oh, well, they're free. Well, that's why they were free. That's why these platforms have been given to us. Yes, they've been able to make money through advertising on these platforms. But the real reason for these social media platforms being free and trying to get everybody on there is because if they become the town square and they control that town square, then it's another way that they can control the information. And look how they're doing it, by suppressing certain information and boosting other information. And you know, it's very similar to the Facebook stuff that we talked about. Or was it Facebook or Twitter? No, that was Twitter last week. It was Facebook before that. Twitter was what's his face? Jack from Twitter. It was talking about how they're going to put, you know, how they have the things on Instagram that's like, this is not factually true, or we've fact checked this to find that this is not correct, or this information, blah, blah, blah. They want to take over the information. So anyway, Q wants us to keep our eyes on that, and so we'll keep our eyes on that. This one I found pretty interesting. Pitt researchers studying coronavirus killed in suspected murder-suicide in Ross Township. So a man who police said was found shot dead in his Ross Township home was a research assistant professor where he was working on a research on the verge of making several significant findings in a SARS-CoV-2 research project at the University of Pittsburgh. Police said they believe that Bing Liu, 37, was shot inside his Elm Court townhome by a man who then went outside to his car and shot himself. Liu's death is believed to be a homicide, police said. So the other man's body was found inside of his car, and it says that they believe the two men knew each other, but they have not discussed the possible motive for the shooting, and I believe they said they don't believe that it had anything to do with his research, but they obviously don't know what the motive was yet, but that the two men knew each other. Let me check in with the chat really fast while before I get to these last couple things. It's cutting out. Sorry, guys. I can see that on mine too. Little goblin. We'll just keep rolling. Hopefully we'll get through. Hello. Oh yeah, what did Elon name his child today? I saw it was trending, and it had like a 17 and a hieroglyphic of a bird or something like that. Oh, okay. Yeah, I hear you on that. Trying to, I mean, I feel like if I'm just reading from an article, that's their word for it, and it should keep me safe. But yeah, we have to all start getting really creative with the way that we word things, I guess. Although Q had said the other day that it's time to switch feet that I'm sitting on. What did they say? Something about their, protection or support. They said support will be given undisclosed methods or something like that. And it was when they were kind of discussing, the censorship and people being taken down. So I don't know what that exactly means, but I think that I have seen a lot of, several accounts that used to get taken down all the time are actually kind of making it right now. That makes me very hopeful. Not that they're not still taking people down, but I do hope that there's something in place that's kind of, there are ways that they're helping us. I don't know what those are, but I believe it. Mexico's president said Monday that the U.S. government should investigate its own officials who had ties to Mexico's former top security official, who is currently facing trial accused of taking tens of millions of dollars in bribes to protect the Sinaloa cartel. So former Public Safety Secretary Genaro Garcia Luna was known for his close cooperation with U.S. law enforcement during his tenure from 2006 to 2012. Important dates, I think, to remember. I think the U.S. government should, now that the investigation has started, get to the bottom of this and also investigate officials from the DEA, the CIA, the FBI who were involved at the time, because there was, without a doubt, cooperation. They worked together, unquote, said President Andre Manuel Lopez Obrador. This isn't just corruption, he said. This is a criminal association between governments or between government officials, he said, referring to the administration of his predecessor, Felipe Calderon. Lopez Obrador took office in December of 2018. So this is interesting. This reminds me of a certain, I don't want to say it, but a certain topic that also has a name of a movie starring Vin Diesel. I think I've never actually seen the movies, but hopefully you guys know what I'm talking about. That was the first thing that came to my mind when I saw this. That's really all I have, other than I also have a thread down below by the Awakened Outlaw. It says, as we're days away from the first time Hillary Clinton will sit for a sworn deposition in connection with her use of private email account and Benghazi Secretary of State, I thought we could look back at the list of things she could not recall 2016 FBI interview. So there's a thread on that, and I thought it was, yes, you got it. FOMO. Hopefully your thing is working because mine is no longer. So take a look at that thread. And then I also have linked, I don't know how you say this, Ghidra, Ghidra. This is another thing that Q linked to, and this is definitely above my pay grade. I have no idea. I am not a tech person. I have no idea what this is. It software? I don't even know. Whatever this thing does, some people seem super stoked about it. So somebody I saw posted a video, I guess, on it, or how to use it, or how to utilize it, or something like that. And I don't know. So I'm like, I'll just share it so you guys can check it out, because I'm sure most of you are smarter than I am, and we'll figure it out. But something's got to be cool about it. Right, guys? Ghidra. Anyway, those are all the links that I have for you guys. What's new with you? Coder code. Yes, I had like several people explain it to me, and I was like, okay, explain this to me like I am 10 and relate it to MySpace. And I still don't get it. I don't know why anyone bothers with me, to be honest. Hello, Antonio. Hi, guys. Yeah, what else? So lots of Q stuff. Let's see if there's anything that kind of jumps out that, Oh, this one was interesting. President of, how do you say that? Tanzania, John Magufuli, has outsmarted somebody. He allowed CV testing kits to be imported into his country. He instructed that they be checked by Tanzanian security officials. They tested non-human samples, including a goat and a pawpaw, which is not a papaya, but similar. It's a fruit. The tests were given human names and ages as they were set off for results. They tested positive, a fruit and a goat. President Magufuli said something is happening. So that's one of the things that Q directed us to today. And that's pretty funny, y'all. Tanzania, thank you. Blarg. What did I say, Tanzania? Tanzania. That's good stuff. Let's see. Oh, we've had a lot of, Q has been posting a lot of patriots from around the world saying, you know, where we go one, we go all. That's been really fun and uplifting for the spirits to see our brothers and sisters around the world and just realize how massive this is and how, you know, we really are in this all together. That's not just a clever hashtag. Facebook removes QAnon groups, pages, and accounts ahead of the 2020 election. This was from the Facebook April CIB report. We removed 5 pages, 20 Facebook accounts, and 6 groups that originated in the U.S. and focused domestically. Our investigation linked this activity to individuals associated with the QAnon network known to spread fringe conspiracy theories. We found this activity as part of our internal investigations to suspend coordinated inauthentic behavior ahead of the 2020 election in the U.S. Tasmania. That's what my brain wanted to say, to be honest. They linked a Washington Post tweet today, which was like trying to get us to bedazzle our masks and embrace the mask wearing. And it was very funny to see the backlash in the comments. This is something I can't stress enough, and I believe that Q is trying to stress this now too. When Q says we are the news now, take a look at social media. I mean, keeping in mind that we know that they're suppressing our numbers, they know that they're suppressing our reach, but even still, we can look at these mainstream media accounts or these big, accounts with official narratives and things like that, and we can see the difference between the interactions with their accounts and the, what do you want to call it, the truther community, the QAnon community, whatever. Especially with, it's not even necessarily the Q community. It's just like people waking up. You can go to certain celebrities on Instagram and just seeing them just getting obliterated in their comments section when they're just trying to post a picture. So it is a massive change from a couple years ago. Of what I'm seeing. I remember searching for QAnon accounts when I was brand new to it, and I went through the QAnon hashtag and I followed like 53 people because that was all I could find of people that were talking about it. And a lot of those people are still around today. Some of those people I'm actually friends with now, and some of them are no longer, or maybe they're around but under a different name. So it is so much bigger than I think that we give it credit for, that so many people are asking questions now and standing up to these narratives, standing up to whatever is supposed to be official, and these, official narratives that they have just like stepping on our necks. And I feel like that is very exciting to see. Yeah, some people go away and then they come back for a little bit. No shame in taking a break. I think we all need them every once in a while. Can't drink Kool-Aid if you're wearing a mask. Ain't that for sure. Yeah, it's crazy. So they wanted to be our new fashion accessory, right? The show of our we got a couple cool graphics here. We got Q sent us a picture of a present or gift. There are I'm in a kind of a chat group with like 20 people, 20 something people in it, and we were all discussing this, and I think all 20 whatever people had completely different ideas about this or theories on what this picture was, and that is cool. That's interesting, and that's why we have so many different eyes on all of this stuff. Let's see, QAnon. Oh, that's the Ghidra stuff. We already went through that. What was that one? Oh, if you went through the Bing search, you just saw basically all of the narratives that they're out there feeding about Q. Yes, it had a red cross on the box. And the red cross, it was a white box with a red cross, and it looked just like the crosses that were on the Mercy ship, right? Killer Hornets in the box. Yes, that's our gift. That's our present. Are those Killer Hornets supposed to be massive? Like one of the pictures I saw, you never know what you're looking at when you just see a picture. Obviously a bunch of memes are getting made now and stuff, and they're hysterical. Do you guys remember the moth memes? I loved the moth memes. Now we've got the wasp memes. But some where like somebody's holding one and it's like this big. Is that how big they are? My Parler ID again, I don't remember, but I'll post it on my Twitter if I think of it later. Kate, thoughts on Elon Musk? DS or no? He's so hard to gauge. But you know, sometimes he says things that are so spot on, and then other times he's just so wacky, and there are just a few things that I can't get over about him. So I don't know, he's a weird one. Definitely strange. Japanese hornets are huge. Murder hornets. What a name, murder hornets. Government's like, oh, you want to go outside? You don't want to stay inside? Okay, well, we'll show you. Oh, I never thought of that. Red Cross give blood gift. Interesting. I don't trust the Red Cross though. They are 2 inches long. Okay, that is not quite as bad as I thought. I found a centipede in my bedroom today. Are those deadly? Elon pictured with Ghislaine Maxwell. Yeah, pictures are hard. You know, obviously it makes you think about when you see 2 people in a picture together, but it obviously also doesn't necessarily mean. Ruth just gave birth to twins. Who, Bader Ginsburg? Centipede bite will hurt, but will it kill me? It was most likely a millipede, so no. Well, I didn't have time to count the legs, but there were a lot. What's my zodiac sign? I think Capricorn. Centipedes can be poisonous. Everything in Arizona is poisonous, I swear to God. All the flora and fauna want to kill us. Yes, the Red Cross boxes full of cash. That video. Dwayne, thank you for bringing that up. Somebody actually in my group did. That was one of the people in my group had that theory and brought that and posted that video for us, reminding us all of that. That is a good theory, I think. If you guys haven't seen it, it's how do you explain that? They're just going through rooms of their Red Cross boxes with the crosses on them, and they're opening up the lids, and they are just full of cash. And I don't know the origin of that video or really much about it other than that I've seen it a few times. RBG hospitalized, is that real news? I haven't seen that. Trump was in Arizona today. Killer bees in Arizona. Yeah, that is true. I remember when my mom moved me here, I was like just about to start high school, so I was just like such a bee, and no pun intended. I was like watching the news. I was like, well, there are killer bees here. Thanks for moving us here. Red Cross video was a Q post. I didn't remember that Q had posted that. Interesting. Huh. Poor Laura. We will get it together at some point. They will chase after you. That's great. Well, guys, Dr. Sheba. Okay, interesting, interesting. Got stung by... Oh, when I read that, I thought you said you got stung in the eye. Oh no, that hurts. I got stung by a hornet one time, like right in like the meat of my thigh. Flew up my shorts when I was on the swing set when I was little. And it like took a chunk out of my, I hate that word, chunk. It took like a piece of my leg. I love bees, but I hate wasps or hornets or any of those things. All right, guys. Well, this has been fun. And like I said, I might have something tomorrow in the works. Keep an eye on my Twitter. If that happens, I will let you know. And it might not necessarily be on this channel, but I'll let you know what's going on. And we might go more through the Q stuff, so that's why I don't want to go through all of the Q stuff right now, because I'd rather do it like really well for you tomorrow, because there's so much. And probably by tomorrow we'll have 300 new Q drops to go through. So it'll be all good. So have a great night, you guys, and I'll see you definitely next Tuesday at 6 o'clock, and possibly tomorrow night too.